Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your Pisces New Moon video with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. So let's get straight into it. So obviously, whenever I do these, whenever I'm talking about astrology, I'm always talking. So I always use the whole sign system. Certainly when I'm doing collective readings like this, just because, well, one, because it's easier, and two, because it is the original house system. Now, that being said, if you're going to watch these and you're only going to watch them for one, please make sure it's for your ascendant sign first. It's going to be the most accurate for you on that day-to-day level. Then watch for your sun or your moon, unless you are a Leo or Cancer, right? Because then obviously you're ruled by the luminaries. So it works slightly different in your chart. With that said, let's get straight into it. So this Pisces new moon is falling at 28 degrees of Pisces. So before we get into this, as always, I kind of say to you, I walk you through the overview so that you can get an idea of what's going on in the background, what's sort of unfolding with this, and that way it helps your personal reading land a little bit deeper. So in terms of the 28 degrees, this is really interesting for so many reasons. So in astrology, the 28th degree of a sign carries a Cancerian sort of influence to it. Hold that thought, because obviously, while we explore the Pisces new moon, which is ruled by Jupiter, where is Jupiter right now? Well, Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer in his exaltation, which is really, really interesting. I mean, I like little facts like that. I don't know about anybody else, but I love them. The planet that rules the new moon is sitting in a very, in the sign of its exaltation at the degree, and the degree that this new moon is happening at, it resonates with the same frequency or the same energy as the sign. I don't think there's, I never see things as coincidences anyway, but I do find that really interesting. What that means is that the themes of Cancer, home, family, roots, property, belonging, emotional security, protective, and even defensive energies are all woven into the very fabric of this new moon. And because the new moon is a dark moon, I see these as like portals, right? So this is where the sun and the moon, celestial mum and dad, come together and get busy in a specific area of the sign. We get something new. So we know, right? This is the time to set our intentions. It's the time to plant seeds, to do all of those kinds of things. The way that I've come to understand new moons in my personal understanding and through a series of very powerful dreams as well that were very instructive between the period of late 2022 right through to probably very, very early of 2024. I had a series of dreams that were all about moons, all about lunar energies, and that led me on a whole rabbit path. Obviously, I did the Lunar Lacuna almost 2 years ago at this point. I can't believe that. And throughout that whole process, I learned a lot about this. And so I've come to understand that the new moon is actually a portal, right? It's a threshold. So whatever's being seeded actually comes through, but it carries the energy of the sign and also the ruler of that sign. And this is obviously coming through a Cancerian trope. So that's being sort of deeply integrated into the root of this whole thing. Now, I always say that a new moon as a portal through which new energies are seeded into the manifest, right? So this is where something new comes into our reality, but it takes time, right? The new moon is a seeding point. And this new moon is in the sign of Pisces, but it's also a new moon that's in Pisces, but it's through a Cancerian lens, especially because Jupiter, the ruler of this moon, is in the sign of Cancer in its exaltation. So I think I think it's quite, quite powerful. I think it's quite prominent as well. And my feeling behind this, or alongside this, and I've always said this, if you've been with me long enough, you know that I say this. It's not the next full moon that comes up that you need to pay attention to. It will. So the next one that we'll have is the Libra full moon. That will be in around 2 weeks' time from this new moon. However, the corresponding full moon to this moon in particular, which will be the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces, the last one in this axis for the next 9-10 years, that's going to be on the 28th of August. So whatever you're seeding now, whatever is unfolding at this moment in time, whatever is being implanted, whatever your dreams or your intentions are focused on or telling you is coming through, you'll feel the biggest or the grandest culmination of that in August. So keep that in the back of your mind. Now, this means that the Pisces area of your chart, and I'll get to your sign in just a moment, is where the blessings want to unfold for you over the course of that next 6 months. But what activates that is Jupiter, joy, optimism, levity, inspiration, doing the right thing, being of moral code and character. The current state of the world aside, that's Jupiter energy. That is the key, right? That's the key to the door that's being unlocked with and through this new moon. It's not going to open if you try to force it, right? Whatever is unfolding in that Pisces area of your chart right now, even with Mars in the sign, the way to open it isn't through force or effort. It's through joy. It's through, optimism, lightness, rightness. Okay. Now, the 28th degree is also known as one of the anaretic degrees. It's not the anaretic degree, obviously, the 29th is, but it's pretty darn close. And sometimes these are called critical degrees. They're the degrees that really of intensified energy because they're culminating at the end of that sign, completion, mastery, the final lessons of a sign before it really sort of passes the baton in some way, shape, or form. At 28 degrees of Pisces, those lessons are emotional. They're about nurturing and vulnerability, emotional sensitivity, and intuition. The question that this degree is really asking you, or asking you to sit with, is what in the realm of your emotions, in all the things that I've just listed, that I've mentioned, do you still have to master? Not to overcome, not to suppress, but what is it that you still have yet to master? Because you have a chance to do that now over the course of the next 6 months. And as you're doing that, you're going to be completing or culminating a much larger cycle in your life. Why? Because Pisces is the 12th sign. It's the final sign of the zodiac. It's the moment at which all things come through to completion and we come full circle to and with the past. So, and interestingly enough, if you've been with me long enough, you've heard me say this as well. The new moon is a dark moon, right? It's the end of the old cycle and the beginning of a new one. So let's talk about the aspects, right? Because there are some really interesting ones that are coming up. So I'm going to show you the chart. Let me pull that up now. So you should be able to see that. Obviously, I've set this chart for London because I am in the UK. So obviously, you'll have to convert this to your own sort of wherever you are. But you can see here the sun and the moon, celestial mum and dad, are together at 28 degrees and 27 minutes of Pisces. Now, the only true connection, yes, by orb, you could say that this is conjunct to Neptune, which is interesting because Neptune is said to be Pisces' modern ruler. I don't see the outer planets as ruling signs. I just don't. They shout out to Frank Clifford, my Astro Papa. He always used to say, when I remember first taking my very first courses with Frank, my first ever official courses in astrology were with the London School of Astrology. And I remember him saying that the outer planets represent things that are out of our control. And that really stuck with me. And the more that I've sort of looked at them and, felt into the symbolism and seen things play out with aspects to the outer planets, it really seems to ring true. So I like to keep the classical associations of planets to signs. And I use the outer planets as generational, fated, karmic, and larger, bigger indications of cycles and patterns. So that's how I like to do it. I'm sure Frank has a different take on it, but that's what I took from what he taught me, and it's stuck with me ever since. So as you can see, this new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces, 28 degrees and 27 minutes, is in a sharp tight sextile to Uranus at the tail end of Taurus. Now, that Uranus energy of shock, rebellion, or change, upheaval, disruption in the sign of Taurus, where it's wrapping up its final energies here, right? It retrograded back in last year and is now finishing up in Taurus. April 26th, Uranus is going to move into the sign of Gemini, never to return to Taurus for another 80 plus years. So this is a pretty big deal because, this is certainly the last new moon that we'll have in a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. And the fact that these are happening at respective, degrees that are both critical and also represent that Cancerian feel to them is very interesting to me. So on the one hand, it suggests that the culmination or the completion or the mastery that we're doing in the Taurus part of our charts is really having us understand our emotional attachment to our environment, to our money, to our wealth, to our resources, to our bodies, to our food, all of these things. I think that's going to be on a collective level as well. We're going to be really paying a lot more attention to who has what and who doesn't have anything, and vice versa. And since the new moon is happening in the Pisces energy, which is about care and support and looking after at the 28th degree, which is about the Cancerian themes and tropes, it stands to reason. I think there's going to be a lot more support and help, a lot more coming together or bridging gaps between people as we move forward over the next 6 months. Does that mean that the other stuff that's going on in the world suddenly dissipates and disappears? No, probably not. However, I don't think it's all going to be one speed either. I think this is kind of if you get my weekly emails, so I send out emails Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I talk a lot about different subjects, different things that I think are going on, and sometimes I look at them from very different perspectives. Anyway, I digress. So, as I was saying, the first one that I want to talk about is that sextile to Uranus, right? So Uranus is whenever we're talking about a sextile, this angle between Uranus, so you can see Uranus here in Taurus, you see this blue line, and you see how the new moon here at 28, right? So Pisces is a water sign. Taurus is an earth sign. Earth and water are what we call complementary elements, right? They work well together, they produce things, and a sextile is an opportunity. It's not a gift that lands in your lap. A sextile hands you the materials. What you do with them is up to you. This is where you have to do something with it. And I love this image. It's like, have you ever heard that thing? Like, so I remember seeing this, I can't remember what his name was. I think it might have been Steve Harvey, actually. He gave an interview on a show and he said, there's something about being married. And this isn't about gender or anything like that. But he said, like if I give, if I give my wife a home, if I give her a house, she makes it a home. This is what a sextile is. It's like you're given the bricks, you're given the wood, you're given the windows, right? You turn it into a house. You can build with it, but the warmth inside it, the life inside it, that's what the people in your world bring to it, right? So this is what a sextile represents. So Uranus, anytime that this planet is involved, we're talking surprising, shocking, frankly, electric kind of energy. And right now, everything that's happening in the world, the disruption to what we think is stable, to environments, to currencies, to money, to the way that we use money and finances, all of these things are shifting in really big, powerful ways. I think disruption is actually something that we need to what has always been the tradition or the status quo. The current program of chaos and division and all the rest of it, and let's call it what it is really, outright fucking insanity, needs to be disrupted. And I said this recently in my emails, as I was saying, that creativity, art, self-expression, music, movement, these are all forms of medicine. And right now, it's one of the most powerful and genuinely brave forms of rebellion that is available to you, right? Make music, make art, tap into your creative power, because in the face of pure and sheer utter destruction for its own fucking sake, if we're just really going to be honest about this whole thing, this is important, right? The more you create, the more you raise your vibration, the more you raise the vibration of the collective. Uranus loves that kind of rebellion, right? I'm gonna, I mean, gosh, like think about this, right? It's the flower in the gun, right? Like, you know what? You're going to do all of that. You're going to be loud. You're going to make a fool of yourself and show your ass. No problem. You know what? I'm going to put a flower in the barrel of your gun. All right. What makes this sextile particularly interesting is that Uranus is now direct. It's picking up speed. It's preparing to leave Taurus, to leave this sign, a sign that it's been in since 2018. So, whatever this sextile brings, it carries the culminating energy of the last 7-year chapter. The fact that we're having a new moon in sextile to this in the Pisces area of the chart, which literally is the last energy of the zodiac, the last sign of the zodiac, it speaks volumes to me, right? The universe does not make mistakes. Surprise opportunities are very much on the table, something unexpected, something that arrives out of nowhere or shifts the direction of things in a way that ultimately is very positive, but probably was not expected. Because the thing is, as well, with Uranus, you can't really predict it. If I say it's going to do this, it will probably do that. If I say it's going to do that, then it's probably going to do this. Uranus energy has always reminded me of Loki. Now, I know obviously everyone always says Mercury is Loki, but for me, it's always been that Uranian element, right? Uranus brings the paradigm, breaks the paradigm, right? Brings the paradigm shift into our worlds to wake us up, to shake up our systems, and to get us to ask the deeper question. Is this really what I want? Is this the direction that actually, feels right for me, or life is really asking me to go in? And because Uranus doesn't do that whole top-down structure thing, it doesn't do what it's told by any stretch. Here's looking at you, Aquarius. Although, Aquarius, as I say, the outers don't really rule signs, but that energy is definitely very similar to Aquarius. Whatever arrives through this sextile will carry that flavor: change, innovation, the new, and the next. Now, Mercury is still retrograde. He's sitting right on top of the North Node at this time, so both in Pisces and at the time of the new moon. This is, and it's, although it's not technically an eclipse, Mercury on the North Node whispers of fated conversations, messages that arrived at exactly the right moment, things being said or finally heard, actually, that were always meant to unfold, but you're hearing them now. Since the outer planets represent people, places, and experiences outside of our direct control, a lot of what Uranus brings is likely to arrive through other people, through our connections to other people, through important conversations that maybe at the time don't seem like much, but they twig something in your mind. And since Mercury is involved, it arrives through words, through conversations, through messages. Obviously, you've got Mars in the sign of Pisces at the same time, and Mars is in a really tight trine, actually, to Jupiter, who is in the sign of Cancer. Expect the potential for a friend or a neighbor or even a sibling connection to come back or to enhance your world in some way. Why? Because Mercury rules siblings, cousins, neighbors, local travel, the local environment. And I've said this, a million other astrologers are saying the same thing. It's our local connections. It's our on the ground, our roots, our neighbors, our friends, our cousins, our the people that are truly connected to, available to, and open to us, and vice versa, that are really going to start to bring or build what's coming in next, certainly in the way that things move forward. It may awaken or enliven your passion for creativity or spirituality. It could could even be someone that speaks up on your behalf or stands in your corner or supports you in some way that genuinely protects you. And I love the energy of this new moon because it's pure. Pisces is the sign of the collective unconscious, right? If Aquarius is the collective future, or the collective mind or the collective consciousness. Pisces is the collective unconscious or subconscious. Pisces is the collective past. It's the sign of compassion and care and feeling, intuition, mysticism, and the higher principles of spirit. And with Jupiter, this moon's ruler, in its exaltation in the sign of Cancer, there is a softness and a genuineness to this moon that feels quite rare. You know, it feels like something that we haven't had for quite a while. And to have something, as I say, whatever comes through this portal of this new moon, it's not complicated, it's not hidden. It is what it is, and it's pure, right? So I love this. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about here is, and I think this gives this new moon some real weight. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I think this one gives this some real weight. The corresponding full moon to this one will be an eclipse. So this is why I say to you, like, whatever's coming through here, it will be pure and it will be amplified in some way, shape, or form, which is really exciting, I think. That falls on the 28th of August, so later in the year, and it's at the very beginning of Pisces, and it will be the final eclipse in that axis. So for me, this kind of means that whatever is, whatever seeds we're planting at this moment in time, as we're harvesting them, they're going to be closed out by that eclipse. So whatever is beginning now is the opening chapter of a story that completes in August. And what I find most beautiful about this, what begins at 28 degrees, a degree of mastery and completion, ends at the very beginning degrees of Pisces. It's at like 4 degrees, I believe, which is the degree of initiation and birth. It's a story that moves from mastery to a new beginning. So take a moment to think about that. All right. So let's get into the forecasts, the mini forecasts for all 12 signs. So, Aries, for you, this new moon is taking place in your 12th house. So, the new moon in a 12th house is a fresh start or a reboot of all of your karmic energies. It's a new moon in this place, is very deep. And it's one of the deeper places to have a new moon because it is a reboot or a refresh of your karmic destiny. Obviously, I say that because this is the 12th house, not because it's an eclipse. So don't panic. At this time as well, I would say pay really close attention to your dreams and any and all connections and people that you have with conversations with people from the past around anything to do with your past as well. Mercury is retrograde in the 12th at the moment, and as the ruler of your mind and communications and your work, and even your physical health, there could be really powerful messages that are shared in your dream time or in your dream realm. Since the moon obviously is sextile to Uranus in the second house, there is a financial opportunity here that unfolds for you. Maybe it's already been seeded and it begins to flourish from here on in over the course of the next 6 months. That said, Uranus is the energy of shock or surprise, so it might be a conversation with a sibling that creates or highlights a door or an opportunity or a pathway that opens up for you. It's also possible that you could be interacting with a group or a friend, since Uranus is the modern ruler of your 11th house. Again, we don't talk about that, but you know what I mean. There is potentially as well, there's a benefactor offering some support or a connection or a helping hand that you need. Remember, a new moon is a fresh start. So this is a chance to be free of something that might have been a financial burden, and it might be a moment where you're like, finally, right? Like I'm done with this thing. I'm done with this burden, challenge, issue, whatever it might be. Actually, I don't want that deck. I want this one. All right, so I'm very picky when it comes to my tarot decks for certain things. Um, so yeah, I like this because it's bringing something to an end or a close. Now, yes, and this one of the things that I will say to you with this as well, because the 12th house can be expenses, and the second house is obviously a monetary house. So there could be some kind of financial implication to this, maybe around your physical or mental health, where you say, right, you know what, I'm going to take better care of myself. And in order to do that, I've got to spend some money. So that's one way that this could show up. Another way that I feel like it could show up, though, is something that has either put you in a financial bind or a stasis could now be removed. And this is where you see your resources really start to expand in some way. All right. So your tarot card for this message is the Eight of Cups. Aries, this is going to start the process for you, right? Look at this. I love this deck. It's one of my favorite decks in all the decks that I have. This is going to start the process for you. Not only will you be released from a burden moving forward, but this is going to start the process for you over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. I would say probably by the time we get to August, one of two things is likely to happen. Either you won't be living where you are now, or you won't be working where you are now. There's going to be some kind of shift or change that unfolds for you. And it really starts with this new moon. And I think this is because you are making a choice to move forward in a really bold, powerful, and dynamic way. So for you, Taurus, this is happening in your 11th house. This new moon is it's really the house of friendship, right? Community, networks, hopes, wishes, goals for the future. It's a fresh start for you in a place where in the place where you kind of belong. This is you deciding, like, where do I belong? Who do I belong with? Who are my people? Who are my tribe? And right now, there might be a sense of drift, maybe from your tribe, from a community, from a friendship that mattered. This new moon is a chance for you to reset that. Now, the Mercury retrograde in the background of this, remember, Mercury rules the second house of your money, your finances. It also rules your fifth house of creativity and romance. Pay close attention to conversations and messages that arrive through your wider network. Anything that you talk to with and around your friends at this time, because there'll be some really important messages that come in through that. It could be an old friend that maybe reaches out, a group or a community that you were once a part of that comes back into your awareness. It could even be that there's financial conversations within your friendship circle or a creative opportunity that resurfaces in some way, shape, or form. Another way that this could show up as well, because this sextile to Uranus in your first house. This is an opportunity that is deeply personal, that really aligns with who you are. It lands in your body, in your sense of self. Like there's just this real sort of electric feel to this new moon where you kind of see, like, over the next 6 months, this is how I'm going to evolve. Something surprises you about who you're becoming, about who you want to become. And since Uranus is, linked to this, and it's linked to your career and your public sector, your social image, like how you present yourself to the world, that might surprise you, like how very real sort of professional, things are, or sort of bubbling or popping in some way, shape, or form. It may even be that you reach out to someone that you think you never would before, because you have a fantastic idea, or you forge an alliance that you never thought that you would. This opportunity will arise through your community and your people, and it might be bigger than it first appears. So do pay attention to this, because my feeling about this is it will be somewhat deceptive. You might just be like, oh, it's not that big a deal. And then, given some time and space and seeing it sort of turn into what it's going to turn into, you're like, oh, okay. There is a benefactor in your circle right now, someone who sees you, advocates for you, opens a door that you didn't even know existed, right? So this is very, very exciting. This new moon is also a chance for you to finally release a friendship, a group situation, a connection of some sort, or a community connection that's been quietly just draining you. And it's like the fresh start that you needed around this is here. So take it. Your tarot message is the Five of Wands. Okay, so aside from being an agent of chaos, the Five of Wands is about being able to overcome what seems to be an impossible situation by getting more hands on deck, by being open to the possibilities. This is also a little bit of a dispute card as well, which means sometimes you got to get loud with it, or as I like to say to my clients, sometimes you got to throw some fucks around, right? In order to get the job done, in order to get everybody to get their ass in gear or get the shit together, sometimes you got to throw some fucks around. It is what it is, right? Life is life. We are people. People are always very surprised when I say that. They're like, oh, spiritual doesn't equal doormat, right? This is something a lot of people really have a lot of they really struggle with, and I don't know why. Now, that being said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the fancy QR code. And obviously, you've got the chart there so that you can see where this is happening for you. Gemini, this for you is taking place in your 10th house, the house of your career, your public image, your social status, your reputation, even your vocation. A fresh chapter is now starting for you in how the world sees you and how the work that you do out in the world really carries your name forward in some way. Something new is being seeded at the very top of your chart. And with that Mercury retrograde in the background, in your 10th house as well, you're rethinking the career, redefining the career in some way, shape, or form. Now, obviously, Mercury retrogrades always hit you that much more because they rule you. You are Mercury after all. And it also rules your 4th house, which means there's a deeply personal element to this as well. So, pay attention to career conversations at this time, especially ones from past professional connections that come back around, something that you thought was over, or, within your working life, like back into your new, like back into your orbit in some way, or maybe even a conversation that you have helps you see something from a new perspective or a new angle. Pay attention to what's being said at this moment in time, and also what's not being said. These are things that you really, do you know what I mean? Like that you really want to pay attention to at the moment. And now the sextile to Uranus in your 12th house, obviously there's a hidden element to the opportunity that's coming up. So if things are a little bit weird at work at the moment, or you feel like there's something that's not being said, don't panic, because this could be that maybe your bosses are looking to promote you or to put you in a different position that they think that you'll be really good for, but they can't say anything at this moment in time. Because Uranus is involved as well. Oh my gosh. Because Uranus is involved as well, there could be an element of travel, higher learning, publishing, philosophy about this, maybe a course that you take, maybe a course that your employer wants you to take, or something along those lines. It could also be that something sort of, that you really thought was inconsequential just sort of expands or explodes in a way that you really don't expect. Pay attention to this as well. Now, it could also be that there's someone working behind the scenes in your favor, someone advocating for you in rooms that you're not in, or conversations that you're not a part of yet. So the new moon is really an invitation for you to release an old career path or a public identity in some way, to open up new professional chapters that fit with who you're actually turning into. And the world really at this moment in time is ready for a new version of you, and you're ready to meet it in that way. I love this. So for you, you have the Sun of Cups. So this is, in this deck, this is the Knight of Cups. This is always solid offers, opportunities, things that come up for you in some way, shape, or form. I love this for you. I also really love that when this card shows up, it usually suggests that whatever it is that is for you, it's coming to you, right? You don't have to go out there to seek it. Like, it's on its way into you in some way, shape, or form. So if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the fancy little QR code. So check that out. And it would be my pleasure. So we could delve into what this new moon might be meaning for you and so much more. Cancer, my moon sign, my lunar brothers and sisters, this for you is happening in your 9th house. So the new moon in your 9th house is ninth house is a house of travel, higher learning, your philosophies, publishing, your spiritual and well, your spiritual expansion. Actually, it is a mind house. It's a beliefs house. It's about your philosophies on life. It's a very lucky space in the chart. This new moon for you, obviously taking place in this space, is Very Cancerian. So if you haven't seen the overview that I did for this video, do go and check it out because I talked all about this because it's at 28 degrees. It's a very Cancerian energy and theme for you, and it's in this ninth house, which means in some way, shape, or form, you're building or constructing or even engineering a greater sense of who you are, what you believe, and how those beliefs that you have deeply instilled in who you are. Oh my gosh, sorry, my eye. Um, is really unfolding or expanding something wonderful in your world, a fresh chapter in how you understand your place in the world is really starting for you at this moment in time. A whole new belief system, or even a doubling down on a belief system, could really unfold for you at this time. Now, that Mercury retrograde in the background, as ruler of your 12th house of spirituality and the hidden depths, and your third house of communication, there's also maybe some kind of deep insight here that comes in that finds you at this moment, like almost at the right time. So it could be like a book that you read, or a film that you watch, a teacher that you have a conversation with, something that just arrives at the perfect moment in time. And it will likely come in those hidden moments and spaces where you have really powerful or important conversations. Past beliefs are being revisited, a course or area of study that you once explored, your attention, like where you put your focus, what your patterns are in the background. All of this could be coming up for you. Now, since this new moon is sextile to Uranus in your 11th house, opportunity arrives through your community, your friends, your wider network, your social connections and interactions, if you have them. Since Uranus is involved as well, there's an eighth housey kind of feel to this, which means through friendships, through opportunities that come through friends or people that you see as benefactors, or maybe even tribe or soul family, these could really help open up your world in some way. It has the potential to genuinely shift something profound in and for you. This is not surface level opportunity, so I will say pay attention to this. Whenever if you haven't seen it, please check out the first overview of the video, because I talked a lot there about what opportunity means and how it could come through. I want to speak directly to you for a moment, Cancer. So obviously, whenever we have anything happening with the moon, it's a big deal for you because you are ruled by the moon. That is your ruling luminary. Now, you've also got Jupiter in your sign, in your first house, right? In your sign, in your body, it's exalted there. The planet of expansion and blessings is sitting right on your ascendant at this moment in time. If you're one of those really lucky people who has, is 15 degrees of Cancer, rising sun or moon, or within, let's say, a 5-degree orb of that either side, you're really lucky at the moment because Jupiter is super exalted at 15 degrees, right? So in this moment, it's like you're finally able to shed a belief, a philosophy, or a story about the world that has been keeping you smaller than you really are. This is really about how you expand, and how somebody, whether this is a friend or a benefactor, maybe someone from the past, maybe just someone that you look up to or that you resonate with, really gives you not even the challenge, but they give you the higher mind or perspective to see something in a way that makes you go, wow, you know what? I can be so much bigger or so much more than I am at this moment in time. And it's a really beautiful expansion. So for you, you have the Eight of Swords. Where is it that you have been telling yourself that you're trapped? Where is it that you have been allowing yourself to be trapped? Where is it that if you were to put your mind, your heart, your energy, or even your belief behind it, you could shatter whatever barrier or ceiling or, fucking prison, if you like, right? Like, where is it that like, if you apply the right amount of internal power and pressure, the whole fucking card system falls down, right? Like, where is it that you need to apply that level of power? Because you're going to discover that at this time, I truly believe. So for you, Leo, this new moon is taking place in your eighth house. This is one of the deep houses of the chart. This is the house of transformation, depth, shared resources, intimacy, rebirth, resurrection is one of the eighth house themes as well. So when we talk about transformation, this has been such unfortunately, the power behind this word has been really diluted in our modern sensibility. But when we're talking about transformation, it's about culmination of what was and taking all of that so that it can be the fertile, rich soil that creates or defines something else coming into being. This is a new moon in the eighth house, not for the faint of heart, right? It's in the one of the most powerful places for a new moon. Something is being reborn in the deepest, one of the deepest areas of your life. This is not a surface reset for you. This goes all the way down into the core of who you are. Your primal reactions and responses are held here as well. And you've had a lot going on in this eighth house, right? Leos have really not had an easy ride of it for probably about the last 14 to 16 months. It's been tough out here, right? Let's call a spade a spade. Now, because this isn't surface level and because Mercury is retrograde in this eighth house, and as the ruler of your 11th house of friendship and community, your second, which is all in your 11th house, is also a gains house, it's a money house. The second house of money and values, financial conversations that have been unfolding really carry weight for you. And a shared financial situation, or even an inheritance matter, taxes, loans, debts, etc., may be renegotiated or revisited in some way. Something around joint resources, inheritances, debts, conversations about money, values, or intimacy are really unfolding for you at this moment in time. Because you're looking so deeply at your intimate life, right? Your sex, your sensuality, your sexuality, the way that you view these things, whether you have enough of them, whether they're a love language for you. Maybe you're looking at things and thinking, right, okay, where does this go for me now? What does this mean for me now? When it comes to money, what is your relationship with that and how is that shifting? Since this new moon is going to be sextile to Uranus in your 10th house, this is an opportunity that's tied to your career or your career or your public image or social status in some way. Something really surprising, potentially shocking, is unfolding professionally. And since Uranus is involved and it has that sort of tie to the Aquarian element, this could be a new partnership, a new business relationship that comes in. This could be a career opportunity that likely shifts or changes, a lot of your relationship dynamics moving forward. A business partnership that surprises you, a professional connection that really shifts the dynamic of your one-to-one relationship in some way, shape, or form. How you relate to people moving forward, especially on a professional level, could really be shifting at this time. It could also be that a helpful person in authority or an authority figure, someone that you look up to, or maybe just somebody that really sees your worth in the professional realm, moves to support or to elevate you in some way. The new moon is also an invitation for you to finally release an old wound, a shared financial burden, or even an intimacy sort of pattern that has been quietly sort of running in the background as a subconscious energy. This is the gift really of the eighth house, right? It's not really about endings, it's truly about rebirth and resurrection. So in some way, shape, or form, this is unfolding for you. And for this, you have the star card. Of course you do, right? Not only is there rebirth taking hold and taking root, this is you truly doing that phoenix thing, right? You're saying goodbye to the past. What is the star card? It's the future. This is about where you go next, and this is what you're going to be fixated on from here on in, right? From now on, it's who or what comes in that is new or next, that takes me in new directions, that takes me to new places, that connects me to new people, that more importantly allows me to shine in a way that sees me connected both to the universe but also to connections that allow me to be who I truly authentically am. So this is how you're going to know the difference, right, moving forward. For the Virgos, This for you is happening in your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, your one-to-one connections, your significant connections, whether they be personal, professional, or platonic, right? Whether that is in all of these realms, this is where you're going to start to see collaborations unfold. Something new is really being seeded around relationships here. Over the next 6 months, a lot of you could get into a new relationship. You could deepen a current relationship. Whatever I will say to you is, whatever unfolds with or around a personal connection, so in your personal life, around relationships, the relationship will not be able to stay the same because of the sextile to Uranus. That being said, that Mercury retrograde as part of this is the ruler of your chart, right? It rules your first house, and it also rules your 10th house, right, of your career. It's significant in a way, right? Because it's like a past connection that comes in, or an old relationship that comes back into your awareness, either physically or through your thoughts. Maybe you rethink like that person you dated in high school, what made it work. Maybe you rethink that work relationship that you had. You know, like there's that concept of the work wife and the work husband and all of that. Um, you know, I laugh about this because the last job that I had, she was more like my work bestie because we were fucking mischievous as fuck, right? But we were a lot of fun together. Um, Maybe you're looking at that and saying, right, you know, maybe I need more of that. Like if you work on your own or for yourself, you do kind of like sometimes, not always, because I like my own time and my own company. I'm very good with that. But sometimes you feel that like, ah, yeah, it would be nice to have somebody, um, you know, it would just be nice to have someone in the orbit, if that makes sense. Pay attention though to the conversations that show up around past connections. Since the moon is sextile to Uranus in your ninth house, this opportunity comes through travel, higher learning, foreign connections, anybody that's overseas that you interact with, that you could or can interact with, or even collaborate with. Those overseas connections could be very good for you at this time. Meetings in an unexpected place as well, you know, or maybe an idea from something that you see that you're, and you know, I'm not talking about cultural appropriation, but maybe you're exploring or looking at something that's very different to you, and you think, wow, that's something that I can apply to my own life. Looking at really interesting, actually, an interesting thought is just recently I saw something. I follow a page on Instagram, and I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but they talk about a lot about other cultures, and some of the stuff around how Japanese people regulate their relationships is really really interesting. Like one of the things that they believe is that it's not your job to fix your partner, like it's on them to self-regulate. Like you can support and you can be there for them while they figure something out, but it's not your job to fix them, right? That's on them to do their stuff so that they don't bring any of their shit or their clunky boots into the relationship and start banging things around. Which I was like, oh my gosh, like can you imagine how different our lives would be, right? If this was something that was, you know, common practice, let's say. So anyway, hopefully that gives you some insight. A benefactor in a partnership role is possible to come through. Again, doesn't have to be personal. This could be platonic. It could be because we have all kinds of relationships in life. This new moon is a powerful moment for you to release a relationship dynamic or a partnership dynamic or a pattern or a contract of some sort that has been quietly limiting you or stopping you from being or achieving your best, right? New terms are possible where things are more equal, where they're more real. For this, you have the Four of Swords. So, what this is going to require from you is a much deeper sense of what is important in your relationship. And in order to get that, you're going to have to do some deep contemplation. So, while this is a new moon in your seventh house, which is about relating, it does suggest to me that actually there's going to be some moments over the next 6 months where you're taking time out of the relationship. not on a break or anything like that, but just where you're taking time for yourself to really examine what is actually important to you, and more importantly, what you need from the relationship to remain on that even keel. For Libra, this is happening for you in your sixth house. So the new moon falling in the sixth house. Libra, for you, this is about your health. It's about your work, your daily habits and practices. It's the service that you offer to the world as well as your well being. A fresh chapter is really starting for you in how you live your life on that day to day level. It's also how you work, how you take care of your body, how you structure your time and your energy. Something new is being seeded in the rhythm of your daily world at this moment in time. Now, in the background, that Mercury retrograde is the ruler of your ninth house of learning and philosophy, and also your 12th house of spirituality and hidden matters. So it's like something's unfolding in your work right now that has a much deeper meaning than it first sort of seems on the surface. Maybe past work situations or clients come back to you in some way, and your health matters get sort of a second look. Now, that the new moon in a sextile to Uranus in your eighth house, the opportunity runs deeper than it looks. And so maybe there's a transformative element to this around money, around depth, around intimacy, around where it is that you look at things and say, wow, you know what? I am not happy with the status quo. I'm not happy with how my days unfold. Maybe you start looking at your money or your finances. It could be a shared resource, an unexpected windfall of some sort that comes in. Since Uranus is the modern ruler of your fifth house as well, of creativity and joy and romance, there could be maybe like a deep financial shift that has a creative or a joyful sort of element or thread that runs through it. Something I think is going to probably bring a lightness to the transformative sort of quality of it. So it's like it doesn't have to be this deep, dark transformation that's like, oh, I'm going down to the depths, even though the eighth house is indicated. It could be lighter than that, or maybe it's happening and you think, you know, yes, this is heavy, but it feels freeing at the same time. Could be as well through your workplace or some kind of financial situation that things really unfold in a positive way for you. It's an invitation for you to release a habit, maybe a work pattern or a dynamic, or maybe even a health routine that has quietly been depleting you in some way. It's almost like your body is asking you for a fresh start. So, you know, you're being asked to honor that. For this, you've got the strength card. Of course, you have, because in tarot, the strength card literally represents the body, which means there's a big focus on the physical health and vitality over the next 6 months as this moon unfolds its energy. There's also opportunities for you to demonstrate not only your personal power, but also your personal strength. What I love most about this as well is that once you get a handle on how you're moving through your days, you're going to see things really ramp up production, so to speak. So for Scorpio, this is happening for you guys in your fifth house. This is a new moon in the house of creativity, romance, joy, children, play, self expression. It's one of the most joyful places in the chart, and it's a really wonderful energy for a new moon like this. It is obviously a moon that's ruled by Jupiter, so expansion, optimism, joy, levity are all things that are sort of threaded through it as well. And really, in a way, this could be a really incredible idea that occurs to you. It could also be, especially with the sextile to Uranus in your seventh house. So, this could be some kind of opportunity that comes through a partnership or a collaboration, or maybe something that just sparks a really incredible idea that you have. I wouldn't be surprised as well to find out that some of you are leaning into, like if you're single, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that you're leaning into a romantic connection through your work in some way, or even potentially with somebody that you thought was a friend but ends up becoming more. Um, that Mercury retrograde energy in the background as well, you know, is happening across the 8th and the 11th, which means that there could be again, important conversations that are unfolding in those spaces for you as well. Something surprising and potentially wonderful comes up, maybe a potentially someone, if you're single, if you're partnered or married or in a long-term commitment. It's like your partner plays a really supportive role in creating or helping you take the most or make the most out of an opportunity that unfolds for you. And this could come very much by surprise as well. It could also be that there's a family connection or commitment that unfolds. Um, one of the things that I will say, it's like someone who sees your gifts and then reflects them back at you. I think if you're single, I think a lot of you are probably about to meet somebody that maybe really surprises you, like I never thought it was going to happen, or it's been so long, or whatever the story is that you've told yourself. It's like you meet someone over the next 6 months and you're like, wow, like this is really how it should and could be. So I love that for you. A joyful part of yourself that you have been keeping under wraps is coming back to the forefront, right? So, and remember that as well as you move forward, your joy, your pleasure, it matters. So for this, you've got the Daughter of Cups, the Page of Cups. So yeah, I think new relationships of all kinds, personal, professional, and platonic. I think there's also one of the things that I want to say to you, whatever your idea is, whatever this thing is that you're creating or working on, it really does require you to keep your cards close to your chest at this time. This is not the time to share the idea. It's not the time to be talking about it with everybody. It's time to build it, to create it, to nurture it, but not necessarily share it with everybody. All right. So that's something that I want you to really pay attention to. And if there's anyone that can keep a secret, we know it's you, Scorpios. All right. So if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can scan the QR code. Do check that out. It would be my pleasure to have you at the table. With that said, Sagittarius. Yes, for you, this is taking place in the fourth house. So new moon in the fourth house is kind of deep, right? Partially because it's Pisces, obviously, but also because this is the house of home and family and roots, property, foundation. Something new is being seeded in that area, in the very foundations of your life, in your chart. This is a fresh chapter in your domestic world, your family story, your sense of self, your sense of belonging in and with yourself as well. And given the Cancerian flavor of this moon's degree, and also the fact that Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, the home and family themes are amplified in a way that is deeply personal to you. That Mercury retrograde in the background between the fourth, because Mercury is obviously it's in your fourth, but it's as the ruler of your seventh house and also your 10th house of career, your public life, your social life, a conversation with or with a family member or with or in the home. It really gives implications for your, the wider world around you in some way. A family matter that connects to your professional life, a property or a domestic situation might come to the forefront at this moment in time. Maybe something that you've wanted or needed to happen in that realm, right? So something involving a partner or a significant relationship that traces its roots back to your home or to your past in some way. Since the moon is sextile to Uranus in the sixth house, the opportunity arrives through your work, your health, your daily habits, patterns, and routines. The third house of communications as well, right? Because Uranus is involved. That could be sort of a flavor that's mixed in there in some way, a conversation that happens either close to home or even in the local environment that really changes everything. I think for a lot of you this year, it may be a year that you might really start to say, you know what, let me understand what's on my doorstep, what's available to me, what opportunities are right in front of me that I haven't ever paid attention to before. Because Sagittarius is so broad-minded and is big and it's, represents foreign travel and long distance and adventure and all of those things. Sometimes you guys don't really look sort of so close. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. It's been driving me bloody mad. Right? Sometimes you don't really look at what's right in front of you. This might be a time where you start to see that there are opportunities available here, closer to home in some regard. I like this for you. I think this new moon is also like, in a way, it's a powerful moment to release a family dynamic, a property situation, or a living situation, or a story of some sort that you come from that has quietly been holding you back from building the life and therefore having the home that you truly want. For you guys, you have the Magician card, which means that you are the author of your life, right? You have the power and the ability to create change, the likes of which you've never considered or seen. And what it starts with, usually with the Magician card, it's as above, so below. I think this time round, it's more about as within, so without, and vice versa. So, this is really, now that you are shifting so powerfully internally, emotionally, pay attention to what opportunities now present themselves. So, to give you an example, there's a film called What the Bleep Do We Know? Fucking fantastic. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's old now, it's really old now, but it's really worth a watch because they put forward some very interesting theories in that. I remember watching it with my dad when I was like 17, and I was just like mind blown because I was like, oh my god, this is my shit. Right, like it's just so good. And in that, one of the things that they were talking about was when you've never seen something before, or you don't have the scope for it, you'll be blind to it, right? It's like one of those, those cards where something's in, like, there's lots of dots, and then someone says, shift your vision. And then when you see it, once you've seen it once, you can always see it, right? It's easy to get into that mode of seeing it. But until then, until it's revealed to you, you don't see it, right? This feels to me like, because of what's shifting to you internally, right? Once you shift, and you're then going to say like, okay, now that I feel different about where I am, who I am, and all of that, I can now see opportunities that are around me that I never was able to see before. And that could be a really, really powerful place to be. So, great stuff, Sagittarius. Pay attention. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the fancy QR code right next to me. Slowly but surely upgrading everything. So, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. I will see you soon. Capricorn, for you, this is taking place in your third house. And so, this new moon landing in that third of communications, siblings, your local environment, local connections, your local neighborhood, writing, ideas, the exchange of information. This is a fresh chapter that is beginning in how you speak, how you understand the authority of your voice. It's you and how you think, how you connect with the world immediately around you, and how you use your voice, your ideas, and the authority that that voice brings. It's something new is being seeded here. Now, Mercury is retrograde, obviously, in that third house, but it's the ruler of your sixth, of your physical health and vitality and your work, and also the ninth of higher learning and philosophy. So, it's possible that an old conversation around something that you've wanted to study, it could be something that you return to, it could be something that you're learning, it could be something that you say, right, you know what, I'm finally going to get skilled up in this area of my life. It could even be that you're looking at paperwork and documents around things like visas, living situations, loans for mortgages, even new leases for properties, etc. It could also be that you reconnect with an old teacher, an old course that comes back around. Maybe you start doing some kind of learning on the job, and that really expands what your prospects are. Since the moon is sextile to Uranus in that fifth house for you, opportunity arrives with a creative and sort of fun, fresh, funky vibe to it, right? Which could be good. Something surprising as well is likely to unfold with this in and around your self-expression, how you express yourself. Could be in your romantic life. Remember, anything to do with the fifth house is romance and pleasure as well. Could be around your children. I would also say as well, like, unexpected income streams could present themselves at this time. Maybe even a creative project that turns out to be worth more than you thought. So, pay attention to those things as well. Could be a sibling, a cousin, a neighbor, a familiar face from your everyday local world that opens up a door that really shifts or changes things for you, or maybe even they just highlight something to you that you never considered before. Could also be a time for you to start thinking about a limiting belief or a way that you speak about yourself that no longer fits who you're becoming. So it's like, I will say as well, certainly over the next 6 months, choose your words around yourself and your self talk very, very carefully. All right. Be really intentional about that. For this, you've got the Five of Cups, which tells me there's been an over identification with what you can't do. This new moon is asking you to think about what you can do, what you could do, what you could become, what are the possibilities, right? You already know the limitations. You already know that stuff. You know, you're very pragmatic, you're very self-aware. That's great. But what are the possibilities now? That's what this card is really saying to you. Your focus has been too much on what you can't do, what you don't have, where you can't go, what doors are closed to you. And this is saying to you, what doors are open? What are the possibilities? What are the probabilities if you apply that Capricornian energy of yours? Aquarius. For the Capricorns, I forgot to mention, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that on the fancy QR code. All right, check it out. With that said, for Aquarius, my sun sign brothers and sisters, this for you guys is taking place in your second house of money, finances, and resources, the house of your values, your self expression, your self worth, and self esteem. Something new for you is being seeded with this new moon in your relationship to resources. Do you trust that you have enough? Do you trust that you're going to be able to generate enough? Both practical, material, and the deeper sense of what you value, what you believe you deserve. A powerful, fresh start is coming up in your finances. And this is actually, I think, a very good thing for you. Now, Mercury is retrograde in your second house, but it's the ruler of your fifth house and also your eighth house. So, something around past financial matters resurface. For some of you, you could be refinancing something. For some of you, you could be applying for funding as well. That's possible. It is a Mercury retrograde, so do consider anything where you're going back over this could be good for you. A creative project with a financial implication is possible. Conversations around shared money or past financial arrangements as well, because remember, Mercury rules that eighth house. Listen to what's being said, pay attention to what's being offered, both in your personal and your financial realms at the moment. And that sextile to Uranus in your fourth house, the opportunity is rooted in your home, your family life, or your domestic world. Maybe, because Mercury is a local energy as well, so it could be even in your local area. But the sextile to Uranus in that fourth, it could be around a property matter, a family resource, something that's really connected to your roots. Opens up an unexpected door, something that you either can't envision or didn't expect. Since Uranus is that modern ruler of your sign, right? Your identity, your energy, your own sense of self is also what's shifting here as well. Within your four walls, your family or personal sphere or circle, something is changing. Whose support really makes a difference to you, or maybe even shifts your financial picture in some way. And the new moon is, like, in a lot of ways, it's an invitation for you to release a belief about money, about worth, about value, and about what you deserve that has been running in the background for the longest time. New values are available to you. New worth is possible. New wealth is possible to you. And because of that sextile to the fourth house, it could even be that a property matter or matters around property, home, living situation, or even from or through family. It could be a gift, a financial gift of some sort that comes through a family member that really changes things for you in some regard. For this, you have the Six of Pentacles. I'm going to go with this being a gift. I would not be surprised if Some of you have a family member reach out and say, I am gifting you this, or I'm buying you this, or, I've just won this kind of money, or I've just, had a pay rise and it's, I want to give you this, or whatever the case might be. There's some kind of financial blessing and or help or support or potentially opportunity that unfolds for you. Um, I'm really intrigued by that actually, because I'm like, oh, who could that be for me? Obviously, I am a sun sign Aquarius, but even still, right, there's definitely going to be a flavor of that in there. Pisces, last but never least, obviously, this is a big deal for you. So, this is happening in your first house. This new moon falling in that first house, it's all about you. It's on your or in your ascendant sign. This one is yours. It's a fresh chapter, a new beginning in the most personal place there is in you. You're seeing yourself differently. Your identity, your body, your energy, your sense of self is all starting to shift. And with the new moon carrying all the depth and spiritual richness of Pisces, with the Cancerian degree and Jupiter exalted in Cancer, this isn't just a reset for you. It's not just a new moon. This is a rebirth in some way, shape, or form. Mercury is obviously retrograde in your first house, and it's ruler of the fourth and also the seventh for you. So, relationships and home and living situations are going to be shifting at this time. There are a lot of shifting tides. A relationship or a family dynamic that you're looking at in with really fresh eyes at this point. Your personal messenger is sitting in your sign, right? And so I love this for you actually. Since the moon is sextile to Uranus in that third house for you, opportunities come through communication, through words, through conversations, through something that you write or that you say or that you hear or something that is shared on your behalf. A message arrives that really surprises you in some way. And since Uranus is involved here as well, there's a spiritual or a karmic element to this message that may come from somewhere really unexpected. It could be a dream, it could be a synchronicity, it could be something that feels like it came from way deeper than the ordinary, right? I will say as well, outside of that, because this is the most potent, fresh start of the astrological year for you specifically, the question really becomes, who do you want to be on the other side of this new moon? And are the opportunities that are now being presented to you, are they really opening up what you feel is right for your life? Set your intentions with care because they are absolutely going to take root. For you guys, you have the judgment card. I think this is so appropriate, right? Because the judgment card is a grand culmination. It's a grand completion. It's a grand culmination of bringing to a close whatever has been a larger chapter in your life. And if there were ever a time for you to embrace and say, okay, that was my past and this is going to be my future, this would absolutely be it. Another thing with the judgment card as well, this new moon is calling you to action. It's asking you to get really serious, to get really intentional about who you are choosing to be from here on in, where you are choosing to go in life, where it is that you really feel you are meant to be at this moment in time, and more importantly, who you understand yourself to be evolving into. As always, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, well, now you can do it on this. So make sure you check that out. But for all of you, let me know in the comments how it shapes up. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.